Alright, time for some Superman without Superman. This is Superman of Steel 22 from 1993 with a bonus poster. This is the introduction of Steel Superman, the new Superman-inspired superhero with a sledgehammer. I will be explaining most the backstory you need for this issue, but overall, it can be a starting point if you're interested in Steel Superman especially. This is sort of his first proper appearance. I say sort of because his true first appearance was 2 weeks earlier in Adventurings of Superman 500. At the end of that issue, there was a 4-pager that debuted the character and slightly set him up. It is recapped and mentioned in this issue, but I would say those 4 pages are quite important, and for the character, definitely. On the first page, we meet our new star of Superman of Steel, Shaq, professional basketball player Shaq. And here, he is telling some kids, Keith, Zoid, and someone else, I don't think we learn that other kid's name, he is telling them about John Henry, the steel driving man. The story of John Henry is tied into this character. It's meant to be like a modern day John Henry, but I think it loses that notion pretty quick. Then there is gang violence. Darling little Zoid is shot in a drive-by shooting by one of those gangster gangs. You know the sort, with the trousers down to their ankles. Oh, you know the sort. The gangster gangs. The Bloods and the Crips. With the gold chains and the low riders. You know the sort. This is getting too close to a Stuart Lee bit. So the creative team here is Louise Simon and John Bogdanove. They have been helming the Superman of Steel series since it kicked off in 1991, and they will continue to do so until... what's the story called after Superman Blue? The Dominus one? The Dominus Factor? The Dominus Objective? The Dominus Affair? The Dominus Agenda? Something like that. But that was when she left. And also, actually, when I would say the Superman books started to decline in quality. Who knew Louise Simon was the one keeping them good? She was also known for Extra Factor, obviously, which is where we come to John Bogdanovic. The pair had worked together on Extra Factor and also Exterminators, a New Muties spin-off. And before, both of them had worked together on Powder Puff Patch. He will leave Superman roughly in tandem with Louise Simon. I think he does 1 or 2 issues after she has left. Steel Superman is their creation and one of each of their longest enduring characters. I would, however, argue that... actually, no, I wouldn't argue. I would point out that we have 2 white creators here. We have an all-white credits even. And I don't know, It feels a bit inauthentic for them to be doing a story about urban crime and drive-by shootings. It is with the best of intentions. There's nothing dodgy about any of it, but I think in retrospect, it does feel a bit at odds with what they are going for here and what they want Steel Superman to be. Moreover, John Bogdanove, he has done some great art. Some good stuff in this series, some good stuff over at Marvel. But one thing you start to see in Superman of Steel is poor transitions between scenes. Unbelievably bad ones. We have jumped from Shaq fighting odds, and now we're in hospital with him. No establishing shot, nothing acknowledging passage of time. We open with a panel of a woman basically saying, "You are in hospital now." This is Moira. She only ever looks off on this one image. She had appeared long before Steel Superman. She was a very minor character in the background of some of this team's past issues. And there she is dead on a cover about a year later. Here is where we expand on the first appearance, that tiny bit of backstory, and we show the link between Steel Superman and Superman. Shaq nearly fell to his death one day, saving another construction worker. But then Superman flew by and saved him. And maybe a psychic bond was formed between the two. It's teased that that might be the case. But I am here today to say don't read too much into that idea. It was only there to make Steel Superman appear as if he might actually be the true reincarnation of Superman. You see, as this page points out, Superman died. Superman died fighting Doomsday Man. So now we have a world without Superman. But that will change because Shaq is feeling motivated after darling little Zoid got shot. The world needs a Superman or someone like that. And so Shaq, he puts down the basketball to forge a suit of armour. And here we have Steel Superman, our new character and new star. It is a guy in a steel armour who is inspired by Superman. And he also has a sledgehammer. It's a mostly good character. He will star in this series for a few months until the return of Superman. And then he spun off into a solo title, which was initially by Louise Simon. And I think John Bogdanove did the covers at least. Then eventually it got a black writer and it got cancelled. And you don't want to know how many sections about my true feelings on Proust I have had to cut out of my videos. Steel Superman continues to shine with him joining the Justice League in Van Morrison's run. Then he also co-starred in the 5 to... He continues to make appearances in the Superman books. He gets around a lot, basically. Then there is the niece that, in my opinion, wrecked Steel Superman, because originally she was just his niece. But then the stupid idea fairies arrived, and they started having her wear the armour. And after that, now, people just want to write the sassy black teenager instead of Shaq. Steel Superman is no longer special when he also has a niece that does the exact same shtick. We also get a pull-out poster of Steel Superman holding Superman's wife, Lois, by John Bogdanove. I'm not turning it on its side, although I do love doing that. It is an odd poster for its inclusion of Lois, although there is a scene to this effect in an upcoming issue. And speaking of Lois, here she is. She overhears about this new Steel Superman, and she also overheard a crazy fortune teller woman saying how it is Superman's spirit in a new body. And we also have one of the worst characters in all of Superman, Jeb. Hate this prick. He was always trying to cook Superman with zero grace and zero tact. And as expected, now that his competition is dead and buried, he is trying to, again, get Lois to suck him off. Like Moira, he was another of the tertiary characters from past issues of Superman of Steel. All he ever did was try to gaslight Lois into shagging him. He dies too, but he gets to die a hero. He dies saving Lois. Annoying. Fuck Jeb. Unless you're Lois. If you're Lois, don't fuck Jeb. We then have Lenny Luthor watching news reports about sightings of this new Superman. And this is something I love about 90s Superman. This interconnectivity. It's not just Superman. We have Lois and Lenny Luthor putting in sizable appearances across 4 books a month, and it always feels natural, and it rarely ever contradicts how they are being portrayed in the other titles. This was when Lenny Luthor had a horrible hair and beard combo. I think he invested in minoxidil, and he wanted to show off to everyone how he can grow hair again. It is the worst he has ever looked. Ever. Him in this Mufasa cosplay. It is the worst he has ever looked in a comic. At the time, he was in a relation... Lion O. Luthor. God, that's good. Lion O. Luthor. That's his name, don't wear it out. Lion O. Luthor. Like the Thundercats. Lion O. His dad is called Lionel Luthor. You kind of have to know that to appreciate the pun. We see more Lenny Luthor in some of the other books during this period, and at the time, he was engaged in a relationship with Supergirl, and it's very definitely something that will get him #cancelled these days. We get to see a scene of Steel Superman fighting some gang thugs. I like the middle panel on this page of him crashing through the wall. And I think I am pointing it out because I don't like a page that is coming up. This, though, is quality action. It is giving a reader a clear take on Steel Superman's armour and its strength and his determination to be a hero. The page that I don't like is this one here, which gives us Steel Superman's atrocious arch nemesis. It is an arms dealer called White Rabbit. She is appalling. I think she is so weak a villain, she could have single-handedly sank Steel Superman as a character. She was in that 4-page preview type thing from Adventures of Superman 500. The problem is, well, she's just a woman. A not particularly interesting woman. Quite an annoying woman. And under John Bogdanove's hands, never attractive. She is in the solo series too. She reminds me of Excalibur, that pink-haired hag, Vixen. Vixen was it. It's that type of character. No thanks. I don't want that. There were a lot of clear attempts to create a cast that were unique to Steel Superman, the villain included. I respect that approach, but White Rabbit is horrendous. And then, in a hospital, Mr. Martha, he sees a news report about Steel Superman, and he calls for Mrs. Martha to come and see it because he swears it's their boy back from the grave. And then Lenny Luthor, with his horrible air, he promises to keep a closer eye on Steel Superman. I don't remember if that strand goes anywhere. I will likely look at the next issue. He meets Superboy in that one. I wanted to try and pick out some Superman that I felt like reading and to look at on here, and this one made sense. It is as close as a fresh start or a jumping on point that the Triangle era ever gets. Steel Superman is a solid character. There's a pun there. I didn't intend to do one, but there's a pun there. With Steel Superman, it's not the case that everything about him was good from the get-go. But the character itself was as much as there. He was the good thing about this. Where it hurts is in its story, and absolutely in its lifeless villainess. I probably recommend this, so 7 thumbs up is what it is getting.